everybody, Omar here, the Knife Shark Guy, and I am back with another fun-filled video for you. And today, we got a Spyderco unboxing. Another one from Spyderco, my favorite knife company from Golden, Colorado. I never say that. So, we're going to go ahead and unbox this beauty, because this is one of those long-awaited knives that I've been wanting to get since I've been getting into customs. Obviously, the production knives that I get, they're going to have to be special. I want them to be a little bit special than just the regular version. So, the knife that we're talking about is the Yojimbo 2. So, this is one of those knives that, you know, people either get it or they don't get it, or they... When I mean get it, I mean they don't understand it, or they don't, or they do, or whatever. This one has been on my radar for quite a while. But I wanted mine to be in a super steel. The original was released in S30V. This is the CPM S90V version. So let's go ahead and just go over the specs real quick. I'm going to take the box out of the way. We'll get into the paperwork in a second. So the overall length of this knife is 7.5. The blade length is 3 1/4. The cutting edge from the tip of the knife all the way to the back is 2.95 inches. The blade thickness is 0.16. The blade steel on this one is the limited edition CPM S90V. Like I said, the original is in S30V. The blade shape is a Warncliffe style blade. We're going to get into that in a second. It's got a satin finish, plain edge. Handle length is 4.5 inches. Handle material is all carbon fiber scales. The original is in G10. This is in carbon fiber black. The liners are stainless steel. I believe they're stainless steel. Or they might be titanium. I think they could be titanium on this version. I'll have to check. It is a right hand, left hand carry. Tip up, tip down, left, right carry. So it's got a 4-way position pocket clip. So you can take the pocket clip there, and there. This is a manual folder. It operates with the thumb hole. And it has Spyderco's patented compression lock design, which is supposedly the strongest lock that they make out there. It's patented by Spyderco. The knife is designed by Michael Janich. He is a self-defense. He is a knife maker involved in self-defense tactics, and that's the gentleman that designed the knife. So let's go ahead and talk about this knife overall. When you see this knife, I'm going to wipe it down with my shirt. Pretty disgusting with the oil on there. Now, when you take a look at this knife, first overall, I mean, it's kind of funky looking. But there is a purpose to it. First of all, let's start with the handle. When I first grabbed the handle, I had no idea how ergonomic this knife was. When I grabbed this knife with my hand, it's practically molded to my hand. The reason it is that way is because you're using this to save your life. This is basically a self-defense knife. But it's more important to understand that this just is not a self-defense knife only. It's also a really kick-ass utility blade. I'm explaining why, and I'm sure probably Michael Janich will could explain it better. And if you want a better explanation, you should just go ahead and check out his video, because he explains it better. So, Michael Janich is a gentleman who is into self-defense tactics, and he also designs knives. He came up with this design after trying to incorporate two things. Three things, in my opinion. Access of the knife, ergonomics, right? And overall blade design for self-defense. So let's go ahead and take a look at what he's created here. First of all, the handle. it looks kind of funky looking. The blade, it looks really funky looking. So let's go ahead and get into it. Why does the knife look like this? Well, first of all, if you were to just put the knife down and looked at it, you go, that looks kind of weird. But you have to actually handle this piece in order to understand what it's about. When I first opened the knife and got it in my hands, I had no idea how ergonomic this knife feels. I mean, no matter how I hold it, I'm getting a really good grip with this like no other knife I have ever owned. I mean, there are literally, I can grab this knife as hard and grip it as hard as I possibly can, and I don't feel any hot spots when I do that. I'm actually gripping this knife full strength, and I don't feel any pain from, or any hot spots from the knife when I'm holding it. That's one. So, I mean, basically, if we take a look at the ergonomics, you got the 2-finger grip there. Your hand wraps around the handle, and there's a groove pretty much assigned to every finger that you have. A lot of knives don't have that. This one does. I mean, look at that. It's got the 2-finger groove. It's got a groove for your ring finger, and it's got this handle, this little groove here for your pinky. So you've got full grip. The knife also forces you to use what's called the Filipino Grip, which is, they use that in self-defense. So basically, if you put your hand onto the onto the ramp of the blade, then you've got what's called a Filipino grip. If you put it back here, it's called a saber grip. Because what's happening is when you push your thumb all the way up to the ramp of the blade, you're making full contact. There's no part of your hand that is not contacting the handle, and you're going to be using that for self-defense. So that's one. Secondly, the compression lock. The opening and closing of this, I've never seen a compression lock that opens and closes any easier than this. I mean, it is insane. There's, you can actually get a good grip of that compression lock in your hand when you're using it. It's just absolutely amazing. The fact that the knife has 4-way pocket clip is definitely a plus. I love that on the knife. All carbon fiber scales means that it's an amazingly light knife. Even the G10 version is incredibly light on this knife. So the balance of the knife works pretty well. I think the balance of this knife is right about, right about there. So there's the balance. It's perfectly well balanced as far as I'm concerned. Everything on this knife was ergonomically fit for your hand as far as overall use. He's got these sort of little grooves here in the carbon fiber and also on the G10 scales. He's got this groove here for you to put your thumb, because the concept behind this is we don't really grab knives like this. What we do is we actually cradle the knife in our hand, and then we open it this way. So everything is sort of a push and sort of a push out feel when you have access to the blade there. He's also made it so you can easily do the thumb flick. You can easily do the middle finger flick on this knife. You can easily do it with either hand, right? Even if you're not even if you're not left-handed, you could do it both ways. So it's an ambidextrous knife. So that's also important. But the most important thing about this knife is the dual aspect of this knife, I think, is important. This is not just a self-defense knife. It's also a hell of a utility knife. I mean, the Wharncliffe style blade doesn't really register with a lot of people. You have to kind of understand it. So basically, when you're dealing with a Wharncliffe style blade, let's go ahead and pull out some other knives so you can get what I'm talking about. I know Michael Janich does it a lot better. So if we take a look at my Spyderco Swayback, all right? When you're cutting with this knife, you kind of have to change you kind of have to change the position of your hand when you're cutting an object with a drop point blade. Why? Because the knife curves up. So basically, from here to about here, you get full power, the same constant pressure using the knife. when you're cutting. You from this point to this point. When it starts to curve up, then you have to change the position of your wrist or your arm to cut with the same amount of force. And then, of course, when you get to the tip. So, in other words, there's a lot of hand movement that you would have to do to adjust your hand if you're going to be doing some, if you're looking for consistent cuts. You have to kind of change the position of your hand. And that kind of interrupts the cutting when it kind of makes cutting ineffective. Let's put that. Let me just say that. It kind of makes cutting ineffective because you're going to have to stop doing what you're doing, change the position of your hand, and then continue to cut in the same, with the same consistent force. So that's one of the reasons that the Wharncliffe style blade is so important. So basically, on a Wharncliffe style blade, whether you're cutting on this part of the blade, this part of the blade, or this part of the blade, it doesn't matter. You don't have to change anything. You're cutting with the same amount of pressure applied without any interruption in the cutting. I think that's the best way to put it. So that is the advantage of the Wharncliffe style blade. Secondly, because in the self-defense category, when it comes to the Wharncliffe style blade, you're using this for self-defense. If you notice, the knife is sort of curved up here, and then it comes to an acute point for piercing. So basically, if you think about it, when you are using this knife and you're going to be thrusting forward, what happens is whatever it is that you're piercing would start from the point and eventually slide up to the curved part. So you're going to get you're getting full thrusting power with not a lot of applied pressure. You could, just even lightly, whatever you're cutting into would be pierced and moved up, and you'd be able to cut into the cavity really, really effectively versus, say, a drop point blade or another, like an upswept blade, right? Or an upswept type Bowie blade like this would be less effective for piercing than the Wharncliffe style blade, just because when you're piercing something, it's straight on. And you're going to want whatever you're cutting to easily go up and slide up. So that's the point behind the Wharncliffe style blade. It's also really very useful for just cutting things around the house. I mean, boxes, rope, whatever. This thing will go right through that. I'm going to find that out, actually, when I do the full review on this, because I haven't used the knife yet. But the knife is purposely made for dual. It could be either a self-defense tool or a utility blade. Michael Janich said on his channel, when you go down to Home Depot, what do you find? You find a utility blade with the same shape, right? They've all got that same straight cut. They all have that sort of almost like 45-degree or 50-degree angle going down to show, to show the utility aspect of the shape of the blade. They're all shaped like this. It's just a much smaller blade. So that was his thinking behind creating this knife, trying to create a dual-purpose knife. Those who are into self-defense and those that are just into a really good knife. I think the really good knife part kind of gets away from you. The knife does not have any jimping on it. He got rid of the jimping. He believes that your hand is probably much more comfortable taking advantage of the of the ramp here by using the Filipino Grip, because this is actually even useful for just cutting anything. To have your thumb up there. I do, however, believe he should have put some sort of jimping on the blade. Not aggressive jimping, but that sort of round kind of jimping to keep your hand from sliding up. But again, that was his idea. It's his knife. It was his design. He believes that not having any jimping at all, you would probably benefit the most from it. So let's go ahead and do some size comparisons and take a look and see what this bad boy measures up. Let's go ahead and start with one of 2020's newer models, the Spyderco Swayback. Okay, so the Spyderco Swayback is actually slightly larger than the As far as blade length goes, it's a little bit larger. There you go. A little bit larger than the Yojimbo. Right? And we'll also put it up against the 0562. And how about we put it up against the Spyderco Watu, another compression lock knife. So it's almost the same size. Actually, it is the same size, I guess. Well, no. Yeah, there you go. The Yojimbo 2 is a little bit bigger than the Watu. Spyderco Watu, but they're pretty close in size. Let's put it up against the classic Sebenza 21. So obviously it's bigger than the Sebenza 21. How about for fun? Yesterday's knife review, knife unboxing. The Spyderco Gale Bradley Air. So, as you guys can tell, it is. One second here. So let's go ahead and put it up against the. How about the Benchmade Anthem, one of my favorites. So as you guys can see, it kind of falls into a medium-sized knife, Yojimbo 2. So the Yojimbo 2 is a medium-sized blade, or knife, excuse me. So there you have it for your size comparisons. The Yojimbo 2, yeah, I mean, this knife is still kind of getting funny looks. It's starting to open up with a lot of people who actually use the knife and finally get the utility aspect of it. But I still think that the self-defense part of the knife kind of gets in the way from people buying it. They just take a good quick look at the knife and they go, well, I'm not into self-defense. What the hell do I need one of those for? But, I mean, if you actually, from what I understand, if you actually cut with this knife, you'll find out how effective the cutting is on a knife with a blade shape like this. So there you have it, the Yojimbo 2 unboxing. So to sum up, the ergonomics are stellar, and the blade shape, we're going to find out, is supposedly stellar. The balance between the blade and the handle is also just really, really well done. I mean, one of the things that you're really going to notice about this knife is that the ergos are just going to blow your mind. So the way, I forgot to also mention that the way the knife is shaped, because it's a self-defense tool, even this part of the knife is also a tool. If you can't get the knife, supposedly in self-defense, if you cannot get the knife open, you can also use this as sort of like I guess a Euro or a Kubotan striking tool, you know, so it's very hard. You probably hit somebody in the head with that and knock them out if you can't get the knife open. You know, it's just something that Michael Janich said. I'm not a self-defense person. I forgot to mention also the liner, the stainless steel liners are skeletonized, which was what makes the knife so light. And finally, one last observation from unboxing it. It's a really heavy blade, to tell you the truth. The handle is incredibly light, and the blade is incredibly heavy, which gives you that real drop-shut action. But it works. I don't know how else to say. The ergonomics are really great, and the fact that the knife itself is heavy in the blade and light in the handle, it really, really does work. I don't know if this knife would work really well as a titanium knife. I'm not sure if it would. But, you know, again, You know, like I said, it is a self-defense knife and it's created for that specific purpose. But that shouldn't take away from the utility aspect of using the knife. So this is my quick unboxing of the Yojimbo 2. I apologize for blabbing on and on and on. If you guys have any comments or questions, I'll try and answer them. Like I said, I'm not an expert in this knife. I'm just somebody that loves knives and will share whatever knowledge I have of these knives in case you didn't get the full Michael Janich touch on how he created this blade. I really believe you should watch that video, though. There's 2 of them, and you should watch both of them, because he's really just fascinating when he talks about making this knife. I was blown away by the way he described how he made the knife, so... Yeah, we're going to find out next week how this knife works as far as a cutting tool. That's the only way I'm going to review it, because I'm not a martial artist, and there's no way in hell I'm going to go out and start using this in self-defense. It's not going to happen. Michael Janich also did, by the way, create a training tool, a trainer's Yojimbo 2 knife, which looks exactly like this, but it's got holes in the blade. Making it a much lighter knife, I guess. So so basically, what you're having is you get to use the knife in the self-defense purpose that it was designed for, and not hurt yourself or hurt anyone else. If you're interested in that, you may want to go check that out. It also comes with, because it's a limited edition version, right? They give you this paper that explains that this is a special version. I'm not going to read it. But basically, it says that this is the Yojimbo 2, the 2nd generation of the original Yojimbo. And Yojimbo means bodyguard in Japanese. The limited edition version came out in 2014, 3 years after the original Yojimbo 2 was released. And this is the version that I chose to get. I had to have this version. There was no way I was going to get any of the other versions of this knife. There's also, I want to say, before closing out this video, I still laugh about it because I can't stop laughing about it. They made a larger version where the blade is 3.7 instead of 3.2 like it is here. And they changed the name of the knife, and it just cracks me up because they call it the Yojimbo 2, which kind of destroys the actual name or meaning of the knife. I mean, hello, Yojimbo means Japanese for bodyguard, guys, right? So, I mean, it's pretty safe to say that Yojimbo does not mean big bodyguard. Okay. I still don't know why they had to change the name. I would have just called it the Yojimbo 3, I think I would have been happy with that. But who knows? Maybe they called it the Yojimbo because maybe Michael Janich has got a different version of this design. I don't know. Maybe he's working on another self-defense tool. But wherever Michael Janich is, I feel for him. I don't know if he named it the Yojimbo knife, but you can pretty much bet. I'm pretty sure he did not. That had to be a Spyderco move. Maybe he didn't have any say in it, but to call this the Yojimbo, I don't know. I really don't know. Whatever. I mean, it's a marketing thing. Whatever they want to do. Anyway, this is Omar the Knife Shark Guy, just doing my quick unboxing of the Yojimbo 2 knife, which means the bodyguard in Japanese. Once again, this is Omar the Knife Shark Guy signing off. I will be back next week to do a full review on this knife, explaining how this knife actually performs and what I think of it. But I can already tell you right now I'm going to love it no matter what. So, this is Omar the Knife Shark Guy signing off. Hoping you'll find this beautiful self-defense tool in your arsenal. Your collecting arsenal someday. Thank you so much for watching. You guys stay safe out there during the pandemic with over 200,000 people dead. I don't know how the hell that makes any sense, but we're doing it. Yeah, stay safe, wear a mask, and God bless all you guys. Yojimbo 2 by Michael Janich. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great evening.